Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of All Things God and Country. I'm your host, Justin Clearwater, and this is my co-host, McGee.
No, Jacob. Nice to meet you. Hello, and this is our lovely guest
A
co-host.
little closer.
I'm sorry. Guest co-host today. Go ahead.
Abigail Snyder.
So we don't do a whole lot of in-person ones, but it is always nice to be able to do a podcast and have an opportunity to spotlight our community. So apologize if anything's off. We don't have a lot of in-person people in often, so work with us.
But
Go
we
ahead.
don't have to fight any internet issues this way, so
Yes, that is
that's
true.
convenient because that's been a reoccurring theme.
Yes, that is true. So we're trying to build awareness. So I say often that I work at a pregnancy resource center here in Miles City, that we do a lot of ministerial outreach into the community. Today we thought we would help have somebody on in our community who does a similar thing, that they work to bring the communities together.
And
So
you're the president?
So I am actually the treasurer for the Miles City Jaycees. I have been the president at one time. Last year I was I was the 85th Montana state president for the Jaycees. So there's a state board within the Jaycees, and it actually goes to the Jaycees are international. I always joke that I don't joke, it's actually a true fact that there are more Jaycees in Africa than there are in the United States. Like the ultimate mission of the Jaycees is literally world peace. As cliche as that sounds, it's actually that big, but it starts in our small communities. And so I've been a member since 2018. And through that time, I've been the treasurer. I guess I'm currently the secretary. I didn't kind of get that wrong, huh? So my husband's the treasurer. So,
Close enough.
yeah.
one yoke and all.
Right. Yeah. And so through the years that I've been in it, I've been a member, I've been the president for 2 years, and then the secretary and the treasurer at different parts. I'm kind of a yes person, so I find myself in a lot of areas, right? But I was the 2024 state president.
So you're the person that when somebody says who wants to volunteer, your hand goes up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. Very much
I
so.
learned to stop doing that a long time ago.
Golden retriever kind of.
Yeah, I can do it, right? I can do it. So yeah, I guess I would say that I'm kind of coming down from being a president to the fact of like I'm the outgoing president for they call it chairwoman of the board on the state board, and so I'm just kind of in my local chapter doing secretary, so I'm keeping notes of what other people say so I don't say as much.
So are you from Miles City or?
I've been here for 10 years. I'm not sure, that qualifies me as from, right? Not yet.
It depends on the person you talk to.
That's
I
true.
think 10 years is good enough.
Yeah.
So I'm actually originally from Wyoming.
Oh, well, that's better. He's from Texas, so nobody
There,
likes
see
him.
now. Yeah, I'm just from across the border. I grew up in
Has a different meaning where I'm from, what you just
it very much has a different meaning, right? So I grew up in Gillette, Wyoming, went to high school in Sheridan, and my family still lives in Buffalo.
Oh, nice.
And so I moved up here, went to Billings for criminal justice, got my bachelor's degree there, and then I came over here to work at the lovely correctional facility that everybody sees in the corner, and I've been there for 10 years as an addiction counselor. And so then my other job is volunteering. So
Now, is the Jaycees, what's the little history in regards to them? Are they, they have a very similar mission as to what we as ministers have in our walks, as far as the goal of unity and peace. Is it a faith, by any means, a faith organization, or no? Or does it have faith origins? Some things often have people who maybe have been faith, and then start public organizations that are not necessarily from that, but have their principles instilled in them. So is it a similar thing as that, or something different?
yeah, I would say that we definitely came from that faith, and when it was started kind of back, our creed includes is it starts with the word God. And so I think like with the changing times and with the different stuff that comes in that we don't shy away from that, but we do accept the different understandings of that. So we're a leadership organization, individual leadership organization. So some of the history with it is I would say back in the day, but Ginsburg, who made the organization, saw that back in his when he was growing up, you could not be a chamber member unless you were over 40 years old.
Hmm.
And he was like, well, we need an organization for people that are our age. And so that's where the age constraint comes from. Some people get pretty frustrated about it because they're like, well, I'm over 40 and I'd love to be part of that organization.
So you have to be under 40.
You have to be under 40 to be in the Jaycees.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And so it's from 18 to 40 worldwide. So the thing about it is like we can't have, so there's certain bylaws that are international, and our national organization cannot be less strict, can't be less strict than those. So like if the national level says you have to, or international level says you have to do this, then it has to feed all the way down to your local organizations. So but you can like put other rules in there if that's part of your organization. So like one of our Montana organizations, their age limit is 21 to 40.
Okay.
So that's more tighter, and they have their reasons for doing that. Maybe it's legality, maybe whatever's going that way. But I mean, the Miles Cities Jaycees is 18 to 40. And one of the positives of that is it allows us to change with the times. So sometimes when you get into volunteer organizations, you'll get people who have been there in it a long time and they just continue to be
We
there.
call that burnout. And,
Yeah. And they can
501c3s and stuff.
Yeah. And so you like, okay, well, something needs to change, something needs to switch, right? This isn't working. Like, how can we do this? But then you've got that person that's been in there, that knows it, and they don't want to change anything. Well, in the Jaycees, we commend them for their service in the program, and we are in the chapter, and we give we kind of say we really like your suggestions, and we'll hear you out, but once you turn 40, you don't have a vote anymore.
So there's like you're able to be a part of the organization still, but not vote.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah.
So it's kind of the
essentially,
opposite of how it was in church when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Be a member, just not vote until you're older.
right? Yeah, kind of, huh? Kind of, yeah.
Kind of, I would compare it to almost structured like a motorcycle club. The hierarchy aspect of it, how the rules that cross the board, and the main one you said you can't.
Right. When it-
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're thinking of like the top-down
Yeah,
approach, right?
Yeah. It's
So-
very similar.
Yeah, so
structure.
we think about it like as a triangle, to the fact of like we wouldn't have an international organization if we didn't have local organizations, right? And so if you don't have, those are like those are like the ones that keep the things running, but the national organization is the one that like kind of watches out for the name and makes sure that everybody's getting their taxes filed, that everybody is doing good.
So
right?
do you receive federal funding, state funding?
No.
Is it all private funding?
No, it's volunteer work.
Okay.
You fundraise. If you have a project that you want to do, you fundraise, you ask for sponsorships. And that's part of the growth and the leadership, is getting into your talking to your government, talking to your officials, your mayors, your county commissioners, and being able to draw that connection with them in their community to be able to work, okay, like what's a problem in our community and how do we help solve that?
So you're very much a civics-based organization in regards to public information, right? Like you're very much a public engagement, young leadership, developing people. From what, if I'm not mistaken, developing people into leadership roles. But the ideal goal is at the age of 40, you're old enough to be able to take on a possession role of leadership, right?
Right.
Okay. And so you're not supposed to ask women these questions if you don't mind, but how old are you?
So I'm 36.
Okay.
And so that means I have 4 years left, right? It's kind of a weird thing, but yeah, so like I'm 36 and I joined when I was 18.
Oh, wow.
Or when, no, I joined in 2018.
Okay.
And so it was, I wish I would have found this organization earlier so I could be able to grow more like it, but growth doesn't stop at 40. At the same time, yeah, so kind of allows that more of a space, but yeah.
Do you have you became more, say, politically informed having been a part of this organization?
I would say I become more like I've made it more important to myself of like of being I've always been the change I want to see,
Engagement.
and being able to this is the Jaycees have given me a platform to say like I have these people behind me. I know these things. I have these credits to where it's kind of given me that confidence to do that. Yes.
So I understand that because of what I do. I get to use the experience and the platform to give a voice to something that I think is very important as well.
Okay.
That does foster unity. So I think it's an incredible organization. What is your initial goals? Do you have a political aspiration in regards to, say, county commissioner? Or
There's a lot of positions open this year, like 10, I think.
And so,
You always run for mayor.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say personally for myself, I work for the Department of Corrections as an LAC, and I'm very like 40 hours a week, full-time taxing with that. So that's one thing with me is it's very structured. I'm very structured in my job. But so I kind of tangled with the fact of like, maybe I could kind of do some of that stuff, but that's what keeps me back is my current employment from it. To kind of do it. But I mean, it's run through my head. So
Well, and your current employment pays much better than a
Yeah. Well,
politician
it's more honest.
at this level.
It's more honest anyway.
I mean, if you want to really climb, then there's some money in it, but
yeah. Yeah. And I think, and I think we have a lot of very like developing people that are in our current JCs. One of so Megan McKeegan is a current member in the Miles City JCs, and she now took another job, a different place, but she was the vice principal at Washington Middle School, and kind of worked there, and then just
She helped get us in for healthy relationships.
cool. Yes, awesome. And yeah, she yeah, so and then we have like Christy Cullinan who works is a game warden and working in that field but also teaching and just kind of go-getters there. And so it's kind of it's a room and a group of people that if you want to move forward and you want to add a little like just more to what you're doing, we're about it. And we're about making those things happen and providing things for the community at the same time, providing you with individual development through like trainings that are provided nationally or trainings that we can kind of grab onto with the nonprofit. No, I think they're called the nonprofit organization. I really think that's their name. Maybe it's association.
It's association.
It is association. So they have many things that we can help draw that too, right? One of the things that they used to do in this town, I don't think they do it anymore.
Something we can do.
What's that?
Something we can do.
Yeah. Well, it's so Leadership Mile City used to be a class that I don't even know if it was related with the college, but they used to do, they did it before COVID, right? COVID killed a lot. And so the JCs paid, it was like $700 to take this class. And they paid for me to go to it. And so I got to go around to businesses and go through this year-long class. It was once a month and get to know people around the community and kind of provide that opportunity. And so that's another that's something that the JCs has provided for me. I mean, we have another person that's that works with Special Olympics, and we're able to help to raise money for her to do that. We just the Miles City JCs just sponsored a movie in the park
I
with
saw
the
that.
Kiwanis.
Yeah.
And so just kind of different things there. We're gearing up to do another murder mystery party. We haven't done a murder mystery party since like probably 2019. And so that should be real fun this summer.
Anytime you want assistance,
Yeah.
we don't.
You'll have to tell us when you do that because that
You know,
sounds fun.
we have the ministry side of it, but
Okay.
then also being the chair of the organization here in town, it helps a lot. You know, we're always looking to try and
Right.
help other nonprofits too. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to be able to see that. And, the college is a big place, so it's nice to see the youth getting guidance and discipleship in that regard. How many people are in the Miles City chapter?
We currently have 16 people in our
Oh,
Miles
okay.
City chapter, which is great because the beginning of last year we had 4.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And so it's been pretty awesome to see kind of get out into to build that awareness and kind of see, because the thing about it is we're looking for go-getters.
Yeah.
Right? They're somewhere. The thing that I always tell people is everybody has 24 hours in a day. It's just about what you prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody's not prioritizing the organization, that's fine. Like we just got to find somebody else who wants it and who needs it and wants to provide, wants to do that.
Have you ever done what's the name of the personality test?
And Myers-Briggs personality test.
I possibly can't have, is that like the colors one?
No,
No,
Myers
there's
Briggs.
INTJ, INFJ, stuff like that. It's actually
pretty
pretty
spot
well
on.
scientifically based.
Okay.
I found there's 16 personality types everyone basically gets divided into.
Okay.
And from personal experience, it's very accurate.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
agree.
it's helped me tremendously in ministry when I've, had to work with other people because it shows you, okay, well, this is how this person's going to receive information. This
Right.
is how to approach this person because everybody's different.
Right.
Right.
How he perceives something versus me is vastly different.
But
Yeah.
it's similarly as far as from angles of perspective, and it really highlights the emphasis on those things. So I was just wondering if you've ever
Yeah.
known yours.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure I've done that specific one. There
Send
is,
you a link.
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, there
Yeah.
is,
The
there,
lion, otter, golden retriever, beaver.
Disc.
You ever done that one?
so we actually, I don't know if you know who Raymond Knight is.
Yes.
He is,
Patricia worked for us.
okay. Yeah, so he's our welding teacher at Pine Hills.
Yes, and so he took the class. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he actually helped our guys take that class, and so I know he had used that. I went to a training in 2023, and I want to say, what was the name? It had 4 different
Disc?
4 different areas you could fall into, which would be like a fire, which you can
Oh.
imagine what a fire would be a fire at, and then a water is like the caring, hugging kind of thing, and air is your teachers, and you're kind of just like wanting, yeah, essentially your teachers are kind of like that, and then your air or earth is going to be like your lawyers and your like intricates, your numbers people and different things like that. So it's about like working with a team there.
Mm-hmm.
And that training is one of the ones that we provide in the Jaycees. Actually, a Jaycee out of Michigan is the one that created that whole thing about how to work with the team there.
It's very similar as to the lion, otter, golden retriever,
Yeah.
and beaver. It's a similar highlight of characteristics in regards to strong sides, hard side qualities, and they're able to interact as a team. So that's wonderful. Did you see any positive recruitment from the event last March? Did anybody come on after that?
I don't so it was right before I went. No, I didn't see any positive. So what we've seen is like we can have those recruitment things and we can talk to some people there, but what we've seen success in is being able to talk to people personally and being like, what are you doing? Or like,
Agreed.
what's going on in your life? And that those get-togethers provide that to be an opportunity. At the same time, sometimes bar conversations or just getting at, kind of getting out to do that. So more of the personal conversations. I just wasn't able to have very many personal conversations there because
The
we could,
busyness.
yeah, the busyness and just kind of getting it started. And
Which I think is a good point, is the personalization. And it sounds like, you know, it's not necessarily a ministry per se, but it does have like those qualities of unity in it. And so it does sound as if it is a good thing to help use to encourage people as far as for community engagement goes, and especially a targeted portion that gets neglected, the youth often.
yeah,
Oftentimes the youth is neglected in regards to positive things for them to do and
right,
for groups to participate in.
Well, I would even say, especially in our community, there's not much for the younger people in this community.
right.
So I was curious, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Um, you said there were four when you started. Was that had that decreased over time?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of gone up. So since 2022, we had essentially like through the year of like 2021, we had like, um, I guess it was 22. We had like four at the beginning of the year and like 12 at the end of the year. And then they like all dropped off in 23. But I guess what I was saying there from the fact of it was lacking that personal, right? It was kind of a thing of like, these are we put on Facebook, these are the things that we've done that we do. If you want to lose these in the community, nobody join. But if you guys want them, we need some people to join, right?
Ultimatums work.
Yep. So
Well, and so then we got what I call paper members. These weren't members that were invested. And so now we kind of dropped down. And so now we've went back up, but we're talking to people that are invested. We're talking to people and like keeping them in meetings and saying like, hey, like didn't see you at the meeting today. Can we check in on you? It's that personal like engagement with them, which they might not be getting all the time to be just kind of like, well, I'm gonna kind of go in the shadows, you know what I mean?
Do you
so
go ahead, Jaycee.
what do you have to do to join the Jaycees?
Good question.
So to join the Jaycees, you essentially like you can go to our Facebook, you can message our Facebook, you could contact me, you could contact everybody or anyone. We usually have our meetings on the third Wednesday of the month at 6 o'clock. And we kind of move them around just because we're trying to support different businesses. So we bring people together to have a meeting. They're buying meals, so we want to support the different businesses. And so we try to put out like a thing of like this is where the Jaycees meeting is. Put it on all the Facebook groups and things like that. So you could show up to a meeting or reach out to any of us. There is usually like a what was it 57.50 is like the price for a year, and then a renewal is 52.50 in the Miles City Jaycees. We've been running a campaign, or we have it in our bylaws that the first year you join is free, kind of like a free trial, right?
Sure.
And then the second year to get joined to the second year, you have to make 50% of meetings, and we have one meeting a month, so 6 meetings a year, and then 75% of the events. And so what I mean by that is like we don't have a whole lot of events, so we might alter that if we put a lot more on there to like move up that 75 because they can always be changed. But so like I guess so we did Easter bunny pictures on April 13th, and everything takes planning, and then it takes like the execution of the event, right?
No,
So I was out of town for the actual photos,
Mm.
but I helped get the venue together. I kind of passed out things, so that would qualify as being part of that event, right? And so just kind of saying like, oh yeah, I'll try for that. At the same time, if and because we understand you can't make everything, right? And so it kind of just allows that leeway for that second year. And if you don't make that mark that second year, you just pay $52.50 and then you're in it for another year.
That's pretty slick.
it
So
is.
you're probably the first person from the Jaycees, at least locally, that's been on a podcast.
Yeah.
So at
That's
least we
good.
have that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So you are changing the tide already.
Yeah.
You're already outside the box doing things that aren't typical around here.
Right.
I mean, we don't have tons of viewers or anything, but
It's growing.
it's growing, and
Yeah.
We
And sounds like we're the only game in town.
we've got Rodeo Randy. He
Right.
started one up in the convent.
That's okay. That's what is interesting. Isn't it Dwayne?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah.
And you've got Randy, who used to be at 92
Okay.
3, and they're up by the airport now.
Okay.
And so he has a podcast out of the convent
Yeah.
that is the where the thrift store and stuff is.
Right.
So they have a podcast there now too. So we have 2 podcasts in town.
There you go.
Do they have video though?
I don't know about that. I think it's audio only.
Well, see, people like visual. I
Yeah.
do anyway.
I do too.
I do better with visual podcasts than just
Okay.
listening sometimes.
I
don't
know that
why, but
I live clear out of town, and so every day like an hour back and forth from town,
oh,
and
you
so
live really far out.
Oh, wow.
Kinsey?
in Moon Creek.
Oh.
I live in Terry.
Look, I love Moon Creek. I would love to live out there. It's quiet
Yeah.
usually. I mean, there's
quiet.
some crazy people out there, but
No,
most of
it's-
them are all right.
Yeah, it's just quiet. They don't really bother
It's
me.
really quiet. There, I remember one time out there, this dude had a trailer that anybody come take stuff off that he want. So we went and took a bunch of plywood, and there was this, I think it was a llama on the property, but it was the biggest llama I've ever seen, and it looked like it was ready to kill us.
Llamas
So
are
we,
sketchy.
dude, we didn't go anywhere near that thing. We kept one eye on it because so Moon Creek's got a llama out there that's vicious, and it's huge, white, pure white, really big.
Huh.
Yeah, don't go mess with that llama.
Right. Hmm.
Do you have some property out there and stuff?
Yeah. We have 82 acres out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Has it got any good wooding on here on it?
I mean, the front part of our property is kind of flat, but then the back part of our property is wooded, and
I know a
All
few
I'm
people
thinking
that live
deer.
out there.
yeah.
I know 2 different Bill and Carols that live out there.
That's so funny, right?
It
I
is
think
weird.
it's pretty common.
They're pretty chill. Bill Smith, and I don't remember the other's last names.
Yeah.
Bill watches the podcast though. Shout out Bill.
Bill.
He's got a nice beard, big red beard.
Oh, there
Beautiful.
you go.
You know,
Yes.
and I do know how difficult it is to get people engaged. You know, doing development coordination for the organization is difficult, and some so
Well,
I know
everybody
there's a lot of
wants it,
work.
but nobody wants to do it.
Right, it's a lot of work goes into
Yeah.
stuff, you know, and sometimes it can be negative, and you know it can feel discouraging and stuff. But you have commitment, you can see.
Yeah.
You're a real go-getter. Did you ever think about joining the military?
Actually, I tried.
Yeah, why didn't? Well, I was in the army. That's why I asked.
So yeah, I went to MEPS, not MEPS. Is that a
That's
word?
correct.
It is
Military
MEPS.
Entrance
See?
Processing Station.
There you go. Yeah. So when I was 18, I went to MEPS, and I knew that I have a neurological disorder, but they told me I had one again because they tell you, shut your mouth and just go through it. And yeah, so they found out. So if you're in the military, you understand what a duck walk is.
Mhm.
I cannot do a duck walk. I fall over because my equilibrium is really messed up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's why they make you do it.
So I know, right? Yeah. So I didn't pass that test. So yeah, no. So I didn't. I mean, my dad was in the military. My grandfather was in the military.
You just
So
have that personality.
yeah. To that go.
Well, she works at a correctional facility,
yeah.
so
Well, yeah, it's kind of built me in the last 10 years, right?
yeah.
Well, because if you would have asked me in college in Billings 11 years ago to volunteer, I'd be like, you're funny. I'm gonna go work. Well, if people, where people will give me money, right? But I definitely see the importance of the volunteering for that. I think so when you talk about like exposure and wanting to be out there or needing to be out there, one of the big things that happens in this city is, or this, I'm gonna call this city because it's Miles City, is
Slide. This overpopulated village.
yeah, this overpopulated village, right? So this overpopulated village is about to blow up,
Yeah.
about real big, right?
Yeah.
So back in the day, I found myself saying that so much lately. The Jaycees were a very intricate part in the bucking horse sale.
Yeah. I'm from here my whole life, so
Right, yeah. So one glimpse that we still have left is the bucking horse parade. And so
This year, I guess.
we put that together every year. the Bucking Horse Parade, and we run like traffic control for that. And then also the wonderful Chamber of Commerce gives that puts all the registrations together for us and does that. But we kind of do the whole beginning, the registration, like what the registration looks like, send it in and kind of do that. And
Do you line them up too, the floats?
Yep.
How hard is that?
That's-
Does it drive you nuts?
Harder than you think.
I bet.
Oh, I bet. Actually, no, I
Oh, yeah.
actually 100%. I've been in it, and I could tell just from the outside looking in, like
Yeah.
this seems like a hassle.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
anything to do with like the downtown part of town.
Make sure you take your medication that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of funny because I've kind of become the token person for the parade, right? Because I've done it for a couple years, and so like the governor's office calls me every year, like, where are you going to put us in the parade? John Lady from the chamber calls me, and
Mhm.
things like
John's
that.
an interesting dude.
Yeah, so just kind of getting everything lined up that way. And so it's cool that I think the nice part about the parade is, yes, you have your drinking crowd that's there,
Well, they're passed out right now.
but it's the opportunity for the people who stay in town to still bring their kids to
Yeah.
it, right? And to kind of be part of that. It's kind of got that free opportunity to where the kids get to go out there and to kind of see that.
And they
and
throw
be part of
candy
it.
to kids.
Yeah.
Nostalgic to a degree for the community.
Right.
It is. It's been doing it a long time.
Right.
You know, and I mean, bucking horse is coming up. You know, I
Yeah.
found out this year they're not going to be closing down the streets that you're going to have to do all your drinking. Sorry, all your drinking is going to have to be at the fairgrounds. You know?
Really?
Yeah, they're not because I called about the little booklets that the radio station normally does.
Yeah.
They're not doing those this year because there won't be no need for them. Apparently, this was what I found out today,
Interesting.
and so
That's weird.
it is interesting.
They haven't. I mean, the street dance has been going on for ever.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's just what I was told.
Huh.
So it's secondhand
Well,
information. but it was
that's
told
new
to me.
news.
Yeah.
Breaking
Breaking
news.
But
So my husband, who is also a JC, he has played the band the stage outside the Bison for the last couple years. He didn't play last year. Jake played, and then OK Olson from up north, his band is playing outside the Bison. But the years before that, my husband's band has played out there, and then my best friend's band has played in the Olive. But they have a South Dakota band coming in and playing at
let's
the.
get some shout outs. What are the names
Right.
of the band?
So Time in the Saddle is my husband's band, and Jody Johnston, who lives in Billings, trying to envision the hat that her name is her band. So I'm just gonna shout out my bestie, Jody Johnston.
At least you remembered your husband's band name.
Yeah, right,
That's
right.
what
Trouble.
matters, right? He would have been in
Right.
trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. So but he'll be playing different weddings and venues and stuff around town there.
Well, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
What
Or
other
around Montana, I guess. They have one clear over in, I don't know, somewhere. Wait, I want to say Kalispell, but I know it's not right.
well,
Yeah.
So what other events do you have any other events planned for after Bucking Horse Sale?
So we're gonna, like I said, that murder mystery.
Sure.
We're gonna look at definitely or at getting on doing. We need so one of the fundraising commitments that we've made is raising money for Reads Across America. And so Reads Across America is the organization that puts wreaths on the veteran cemetery.
Mhm.
And so we are the fundraising organization for it. And then the grave or the graveyard.
Cemetery.
So there you go. I was thank you for that. Is like the location, right? And so we work hand in hand with getting the funds raised there. Because things are getting more expensive. So degrees are different with that. And so our goal raised about $4,000 this year.
Wonderful.
So we'll be fundraising for different ways throughout the summer to get to that goal. Usually we try to get in on the Cowtown Tuesday music
Yep. It's
to
a
do.
great advertisement opportunity.
Yeah. So we'll get into doing that and then kind of just seeing where we can kind of help around the community.
Have you thought about doing I don't know how successful for you, the one-on-one interaction of like community booths engagement is? But have you thought about maybe the farmers market ever
Oh,
doing that? Because
that's interesting.
Bernadette that runs the farmers market is pretty gracious towards
Right.
nonprofits.
Okay.
So she either won't or charge you or will charge you a very reduced price
Yeah.
to be there. So
Cool. Yeah,
And
no,
that
that's a good
starts
idea.
on
here
Bucky
soon.
Horse.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
that's
on
the only
the
weekend
okay.
I don't do it.
That's the first opening of the farmers market is after the parade in the park.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so like we at the outreach clinic the last few years have had a booth, probably the last 4 years now, I
Yeah.
think.
It's only like $5-10 for a table spot
Yeah,
Cool.
it's
anyways.
not
It's
very
not.
expensive. No,
Cool.
and it's a wonderful opportunity. We don't have insane,
It's
engagement,
it's
but it's
been
about the
Right.
people.
Yeah.
more vendors have showed up in the last few years than they were for a while.
Cool.
I would say it's gotten more popular.
Well, I think that that's important because that's like a hometown thing, right?
Right.
That puts that opportunity, and we need to have more of those in Miles City to get our community out and to get it moving. As much as the progress we've made since COVID when we all shut down, we need to get back
Agreed.
to that more in a positive light, right? Um, and so we need to continue to have that. So
So,
um,
what's your vision for the future of the local chapter?
My vision, I for a long time I felt like I was just kind of like I got to get it built up. We got to kind of do that. And when I turn 40, it's probably just going to go away in Miles City. And this last week I was kind of just going on my way to town and had multiple members just kind of say like, little conversations with them. And I was like, that doesn't have to be what's going on there. So I guess my vision is kind of it being their continuing vision, being able to kind of pass it down to them and them keeping it going and allowing it to kind of offer. New thing that we did with Bucking Horse Sale this year is got some sponsors so we could get some names out there of local businesses to kind of be partners in that and just say, hey, like these people support your parade, these people support us. The Bucking Horse Board has always supported the parade. And so just kind of get more people on board there has been helpful, and some different things going forward to that people have checked to sponsor. We do haunted trails. We're the only like scary thing in town on Halloween, right? Or Halloween weekend now because
Hospital used to have one when I was a kid.
oh yeah. And
Yeah, it was in the hospital too, and
That's
it
terrifying.
was plenty. It was a little creepy too. It
Well,
wasn't bad.
real people died there.
yeah. Well, it wasn't in this one hospital on Layton.
Holy Rosary, yeah.
Well, okay, but it wasn't in the new one. It was in the old
No, it
hospital.
was in the new one.
Oh, okay, okay. Because
Yeah,
I'd be really creeped out
In
if it
the
was in
old
the old
one.
one.
Oh
I was
yeah.
born in the old one, the one that's now a playground.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
used to be there, full of asbestos.
The
crazy.
or were you talking about the one over by the Ruby?
That's the
That's the old
old
one.
hospital.
Yeah.
It's an old.
Miss Tracy worked there when she first
It was
started as a
hospital, then
nurse.
it was a convent,
Yep.
now it's apartments.
Yeah. Tracy worked there when she started as a nurse back in the day.
The one I
Wow.
was born in, they tore down.
Yeah,
Yep.
and now it's just like
Playground.
hanging out there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Weird playground.
Well, what would you say? Okay, so where's some areas so that organizations, I'm sorry, I keep bringing up mine, but
You're
like
fine.
mine are can help get involved with it. So like I've recently launched a men's mentorship program through the outreach clinic that is our overall goal to help encourage young men in our community to help guide them to principled and moral positions. So what are some ways that again, we're a faith-based organization that folks like us can help support you guys? Is it, just having something in my lobby that's like community-based engagement? Because like we also have, we don't advertise, but we give out resources in regards to, say, um, celebrate recovery or support groups or things like that. but other resources as well. Is it something that you think that would help bring community to somebody? Maybe not somebody suffering from, say, addiction per se, but somebody who struggles with having their own self-worth in a community sense.
Well, I think community is very intricate in self-worth, right?
I agree.
Not that it should be a complete reliant, because you have to be able to stand on your own feet, 2 feet, no matter where you're standing,
But
right?
so good in the military.
uh, and so you but I think that that's important to like that you're letting people know their options and letting people know like celebrate recoveries here. So like just different things. I mean, I toy to that just because of the fact that like I've counseled people with addictions for 10 years. And so to be able to have them and to see that and to provide those options, and it takes, on their part to build that confidence to step into
I
that
agree
room,
100%.
but then to acknowledge that they've stepped in that room and say, "Hey, we're happy to see you. Like, so glad you're here. What's your name?" You know, and being able to do that. This phrase was said to me or a couple months ago, and it says, "Talk about ideas, not people." And I think that that's very important because so often it's so easy to fall into the judgment thing because, like Brene Brown says, we like to do it so much, but it's so important to talk about ideas instead of people. Because if you're talking about ideas instead of people, then you're headed forward in a positive direction to solve problems instead of the blame game or judging somebody else for their actions, because those things just kind of hit barriers. So if we can have a welcoming atmosphere of what's happening or of a room that somebody steps into or reaching out to them to just say like check on somebody of how their day is, I think that that's so important because uh like we don't know what battle we're all fighting, right? We don't know what happened when you got out of bed this morning and why you have two shoes that are different on or something like that. But if you can say like, hey, and provide an opportunity or a place for people to say like, this is what's happening, uh, and be able to have those side conversations if something does need to be addressed and to where it's not addressed in front of everyone to add that comfort level.
I can relate to that 100% as far as the personal engagement. I sit across from people on a very regular basis and guide them or help them through difficult times. And so, and I am, I did drugs and such as well. And so, there's a scripture that really comes to my heart with things like that, and it's to become all things for all people. And it's important for us to be able to know to not judge and to be able to be relational. And it sounds like your organization's primary thing is to be relational with the community and to be influential just by living a good life and being productive members of society. And that's a very morality based and driven perspective to have. And it does take leaders. And that's the thing there are many examples of this in the scriptures and life all over the place that show us that not everybody is designed to be leaders, but the people that often are leaders are the ones that are willing to give it 100%, die for the cause, so to speak. You'll be great at whatever you do in your post Jaycee career.
You could start a local militia. I mean, you got the military aspect in there,
Yes,
and
doesn't she?
you do a better job than the last people.
Well, and I think that I don't know, the Kiwanis really want me, I'm telling you.
Well, that'd be great. Like
City council.
Yeah,
Kiwanis, my daughter helped get Terry's branch of Kiwanis started,
Okay.
and it's a wonderful organization.
Yes, definitely.
I was kind of curious, not to pivot, but you've been working at the correctional facility for 10 years.
Mhm.
How have you seen like the drug culture in here affect that through over the 10 years? Has it changed much?
I would say like, meth's always been a thing in Montana, right?
Sure.
And then we're now the it used to be made in the houses and the bathtubs, and now it's made in Mexico or Canada to where it's coming over the borders. And then also with it, the new on the new standout drug is like fentanyl.
Sure.
And I have seen that. I actually just came back from a conference in a summit, I guess, in Nashville, and it was the prescription and illicit drug summit, and Robert Kennedy, uh, I guess secretary. I think is a U.S. secretary. I think that's what they call him on the government level. I don't really pay attention to government.
He's the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human
Yeah,
Services.
yeah.
RK
Okay.
Jr.
Yeah. So he got up and like told his testimony
Which, yeah,
at this
he used to
deal.
do a lot of cocaine.
And it kind of blew me away to kind of see that, but at the same time to have him in a leading spot is I think is important.
He was there in person.
Yes.
Did you get to meet him?
I didn't get to meet him.
Man, I'd have been like, picture.
Right?
Yeah, I would have too.
I would say there were 6,000 people at this
There's
summit.
probably
that's
security
wonderful.
that would have frowned
Yeah,
upon it.
there was probably the craziest thing. It was the craziest thing. There were 4 people during his speech that just got up and
Manifesting.
said, yeah, we're protesting, and Secret Service came in and took them.
Swoop, swoop. Yeah.
It was craziest.
Aye.
Crazy.
Did you ever see the movie Head of State with Bernie Mac and
Mm,
Chris
maybe.
Chris
I think
Tucker,
that was
or
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
The scene where he just yells security and they come and swoop up everybody. That's what it reminded me of. Sorry.
It was
Yeah.
pretty cool that he came in person.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And it was kind of funny because they didn't announce it till we were all there.
Oh, that's
right.
Logical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was pretty interesting. But what it gets back to is like this is a war like on our people.
Absolutely.
And a struggle that's on our people. But another thing, that I learned there is I knew when I came on the stage as a addiction counselor 10 years ago that fentanyl and prescription drugs were an issue on the eastern part of the US.
Yeah.
Right? And things slowly go west, just like all the wagon trains, right?
Yeah.
And so it has made it to us. But luckily they've figured out some of the prevention things and some of the stuff before us. So hopefully we can continue to deal with that and continue to fight that.
They everything's laced with that
Oh,
with
yeah.
fentanyl these days.
Like-
So you
Yeah.
have no idea.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's such a like I was
Like
watching
this much of
can
a
kill you.
kill like 5 people or something. Some crazy number.
It's ridiculous. Like I was watching something that was talking about this new drug, pink cocaine,
Mhm.
right? And how almost it has absolutely mainly no cocaine in it. It's mainly methamphetamine and fentanyl mixed with several other things, but it's a kind of a newer substance. So like are you familiar with history at all? You're a fan of history?
I mean, I'm a fan enough. I believe with history, it needs to be known so it's not repeated.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
We didn't land on the moon and Hitler didn't die in Germany. Oh,
Yep. Okay. Sorry. Well, different,
What?
I'm sorry.
yeah, different
We'll
episode.
cut
different
that. Oh, no,
episode,
we won't.
Okay.
different episode.
Okay.
It's all things God and country. And so
We talked about the NFL draft last week.
we did.
Who didn't, right?
Go Raiders.
But we so with the Chinese opium wars,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
Great Britain and I mean we played a part, but like in other countries they bombarded China with opium and stuff, and to an extent China's gone backwards and done it to us with fentanyl in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, and you see it in our politics try and play out and stuff.
Right.
But fentanyl is have you seen stuff like about Trank and things like that?
Yeah.
And so it's different than, I'm not justifying drugs by no means, but like the highs and stuff that they seek after and in drugs.
Mhm.
And I've recently counseled somebody where they were a drug addict and then they went to jail and then they got out. Now they're back and they are fairly rehabilitated in a way that was different from their prior self. Drugs as a whole, though, you just see take a more aggressive approach. In your 10 years as an addiction counselor, to build on his question, do you see the deliverance from addiction is more difficult in regards to with fentanyl and these more synthetic drugs? Because we've moved from like cocaine's derived from a plant kind of thing, like to some extent, and drugs have grown and evolved, and with that have you seen dependency become different in any regard?
I wouldn't say that I've seen a difference in the dependency with it. I would say it's been strong for a long time, right? I also wasn't never experienced it back like in the 60s when they were essentially, like kind of part of those times. But I have seen like, or I haven't really seen the dependency change any. Kind of a drug is a drug is a drug, right? I will say that a lot of it is like, oh, the non-harmful marijuana, which becomes like, okay, so what are the actual risks with it, right? What are the actual risks with it? What's the actual risk that you're taking by going to the gym 7 days a week and spending 2 hours there? That's an addiction also, right? So the basis of addiction is doing doing something despite negative consequences.
Correct.
And that's the very basis of it. So it doesn't only go to that.
I guess what I meant more so was maybe withdrawals.
Withdrawals. Yeah.
That's what I guess I meant
Okay.
more so was
Yeah.
maybe the dependency of the body with the drug.
With
That's
it.
probably what I
Yep.
meant more so.
Yeah, no, and then definitely in that.
So
Yeah,
like
with the
what I
withdrawal.
meant was with fentanyl and stuff,
Right.
the dependency of people in regards to coming down or coming
Yeah,
off
are
of
the
highs.
withdrawal symptoms worse?
That's I guess
Yeah.
what I was asking.
No, yeah, and you're
Sorry.
very right. No, you're very right about that. Yeah, I mean, when I'm sitting in a room in a group with guys, and you have a guy that uses meth, and then you have a guy that uses fentanyl, consistently, the meth guy's definitely withdrawing less than the
Right.
fentanyl guy, unless somebody stuck some fentanyl in his meth,
Meth,
right?
right.
Yeah, definitely. Opiate withdrawal is definitely harder for that.
I'm very thankful that God took me away from drugs when he did, because it was before fentanyl got into things very
Yeah.
prevalently. And
Right.
so just the toxicity of it throughout the drug ecosystem, so to speak, and the illicit drugs and stuff
Mhm.
is incredible.
Yeah.
It is have you seen fentanyl in miles be an issue from your corrections work in the same way as, say, something maybe like Billings or others? Is it just as bad, as far as the supply demand?
Here you might not see someone do it on the corner. In Billings, you'll see it in downtown.
That's true. That's true.
Well, and I think that that's a big thing. So like if you think about correctional facilities, so like we have a correctional facility over here, and what a lot of people don't understand is we get people from around the whole state.
Right.
So you're gonna have your hot spots. Missoula.
Bozeman.
Well, they don't want to admit it. And then
They also don't want to admit they're from California.
and then Billings, yeah, Kalispell,
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't surprise
Great
me.
Falls,
Helena.
Probably more actually from over there than here in reality, maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
And so, I mean, you'll have, I mean, Miles City has this drug problem, right? At the same time, we don't have its people problem, which I mean by that is a higher population. So, yeah,
It's
definitely.
odd. Our population doesn't seem to grow much,
well, we're not a
but it
very
seems like there's more people. I mean, I don't know if you've gone to Walmart in the
Right.
last year, but it's
Yeah.
terrible.
I think that Miles is definitely one of those cities. Like, I come from Southeast Texas, and Miles City is one of those cities that it's somewhere between a city, because it's really not a city. Like, not by the true
It's somewhere in the
definition.
Mhm.
middle.
Yeah, and I think that it had, at one point, it probably was. Like, when Main Street was popping and stuff back in the day, I bet Miles City was a different place,
Mhm.
50, 60 years ago.
Even when I was a kid, it was
Right.
different. The Omni Center used to be the happening place,
Okay.
and now it's dead.
But you can see Miles City has kind of got a demographics issue, really, right? Like the age part of Miles City, people kind of get stuck, and it seems like there's not a lot of traction with the younger generation, not a lot to do.
Even with like the Patriot Roundtable and what they're trying to do. I've been to a couple of their meetings, and there's not many people under 60.
40.
60, wow, 60 maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just there's no new blood, and
Well,
without new blood, there's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's, and it's about it's about, I mean, that's another thing that Jaycees is looking at is about getting your younger people involved because there are younger people around, but like what's important to them? How
Correct.
do you reach them? I just made my debut last week on TikTok.
Oh, I've had a
Nice.
TikTok for a minute. Yes, I
I've
know. It
had
took me forever.
I was just watching TikTok videos and not putting anything on, so I was
Yeah,
like the taker and
not the
whatever.
get. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but I'm a brand ambassador for JCI USA. That yes thing will get you sometimes.
It does.
But so like I've been kind of just messing around with that, but it's just like how do we talk to people that are in that 20 age range, right?
Agreed.
How do we get them involved on in things that are very important and are going to be affecting to their future? And it's not the way that we used to do it. And so it's just kind of about putting your minds together and having that conversation about how that works.
You have to change with the times, you know. I mean, if VHS didn't die out, we wouldn't have DVDs.
That's a good
You know what
point.
I mean?
Yeah.
If 8 tracks didn't die out, we wouldn't have
Yeah.
streaming music. You know, I mean, something has to die for it to take its place.
And I do agree with that. And even in my line of work, I find it difficulty trying to balance marketing towards the different age demographics in regards to, my donors are different than my clients, which is a really odd scenario.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have similar issues at some point. Like I'm sure most of your donations outside of membership probably come from people who maybe are past people on a national level, is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right. People who have been in the organization
Right.
to supply it for a while.
Right. And so it's kind of similar, I guess, in how I have to look at it, because, the people who are past childbearing years tend to be the ones who fund us,
Mhm.
right? And so I can see the complexities there and the desire to get the awareness to youth of that they have value, I think, is an important thing well, one is the chief calling of the church, and is its job to tell them that they have value in the community, but also of like longevity when it comes to organizations that are real, like even Kiwanis, right? Like,
Right.
because it takes adults with Kiwanis to be there as partners for the kids in the community and stuff. And so um, it's more than a name placard on the little park thing over by the bar there that says proudly donated by the Kiwanis.
Yeah.
But it takes effort. And I think that's commendable. Whether you do it from the same perspective as us or not is irrelevant. It's the desire to be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing
And save our community
right, which
Right.
is
because
something the
things are
community
getting
lacks.
kind of dark. There's
Yeah.
a lot of dark in our community, and cities going broke and got a lot of problems.
Yeah,
Me
and
too.
I think that like looking at it, being able to get into those rooms to have those hard conversations and being in those areas, it takes a lot of confidence to walk over that threshold,
I
right?
agree with that.
And and sometimes you might not be welcome in that room.
Yeah.
And so then you just got to push through that also,
Yeah.
to make change or to have those changes happen. So essentially, like the Jaycees is kind of just having a backbone of like, hey, we see you, you're doing well. Like we can kind of see those opportunities. I remember in 2022 was the first time I went to my national convention, and it was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And so I'm like, I'm going to the beach, like this is what I'm doing. I've never been to the East Coast. This is what I'm doing. And we were like halfway through the convention, and somebody looked at me and said, I think you're going to do some great things. And then I was like, who are you? You don't even know me. And then it was by the end, I had like some people were whispering to each other. And 2 years later, I'm Montana state president. And I'm like, did they have this planned? But they saw the value in me to kind of say like like push my potential and to kind of move that in that direction.
Well, I definitely can see the potential
Sure.
you have.
Yeah,
Come
not
on.
not everyone has that drive,
No,
Right.
and that sometimes not even courage is just to do it and be afraid anyway.
it's a boldness, to
I
be
mean,
able to speak.
when we do podcasts with guests, I'm nervous like the whole week,
Yeah.
and then the day of, I'm just like until we get rolling, and then
Right.
I was youth pastor for 3 years in town back in the day, and that would be the most nerve-wracking part. It was up until I was on the
Yeah.
stage. Then once I'm there,
Yeah.
cool as a cucumber. But that lead up, I'm assuming it's be the same with a boxer, getting ready to go out to
Right.
the fight, and and then once you're there,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, I've had opportunities the last two, maybe not each year. This convention and we went to Hawaii. So after your whole deal, we went to Hawaii. So a
I
little,
think I remember you telling me that.
yeah, life before Hawaii is a little fuzzy still though. But so I got to go on the national stage and give a speech. And that Hawaii, I wrote this speech. I tried to memorize it. Like I got up there, I blanked out.
Yeah.
I feel like it was not this great. So in Chicago, I got another opportunity and I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then I was like, yeah, I am. Like, I'm going to do that. And so I looked at my topic and I was like, okay, I can connect to this topic. I didn't write a speech. I just got out there and like talked from
Wing it.
what I knew and what in my heart. And that was opportunities that I got through the Jaycees allowed me to understand like I'm not that person that writes things down, memorizes them, and then goes up and tells people. I'm that person that, like, you put me on the stage, I can say, I can have a conversation, but I want to talk to you in the audience, and I want, like, it's a conversation kind of thing for me because I know what I know and I know what I feel.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going to kind of drive my speeches and drive me going forward there. So that's some growth that I've done within the Jaycees. We have that on the national level and the state level to kind of just be or to kind of help to build that individual development.
Public speaking is a skill, and
Well, it's not natural to human nature.
no.
The only time in our ancestry when people were before that many crowds, it was probably not a good thing.
Yeah. Off the head.
Yeah, I was probably begging for your life.
Yeah, usually.
Right.
And it is difficult.
Like comedians, they're
Yeah.
just not,
No,
they're not right.
but it takes great boldness, and I imagine it's a
Mm.
1,000 people or more.
Yeah, I mean, probably at JC's conventions, probably have nationally, probably have like 300 people.
Okay.
And because
And you went to Hawaii?
we went
Is
to
it a
Hawaii.
blast?
I
Is
bet
the
it's a
is the convention a blast?
It is a blast. It was a blast. One
Get
thing
down.
I only have like traveling's one of my passions also. And so to be able to travel to national conventions has been awesome.
Oh,
And to be able to
yeah.
travel around Montana and help out with different events in Montana. So over in Dillon, Montana, we have a chapter, and Montana's largest weekend is at their PRCA rodeo, which is huge. With Clint Black is playing there this year.
What?
Yeah, over in Dillon, Labor Day weekend. And so that's completely put on by their Jaycees organization.
That's so cool. What is that?
It's called Montana's largest weekend.
When is it?
Oh, when is it? Sorry, Labor Day weekend.
Oh, you want to go? You don't know who Clint Black is. I do.
I'm sorry.
The voice of 90s country.
Yeah, the voice of this country, right? And so, like that's kind of like we traveled to different areas. I go to serve beer in Lewistown at the Central Montana Fair or Central Montana Fair because that's what they pull into to that. They do derbies in Sydney, Montana. They do derbies in Havre, Montana. So to kind of get around and see the state's pretty cool too with the Jaycees. There's usually not a state that I go to that I don't know a person that's a Jaycee
That's cool.
because we're just all over, and so it's really nice for
Is it more
connectedness.
women than men?
No, we're
It's pretty
both.
blended,
So like it started out just a men's organization.
like most things.
And that in the 80s, there was actually a lawsuit that made it to where they had to allow women in.
Just like the Boy Scouts.
Yeah. At least they weren't called Boy Scouts, but
Well,
different problem.
I agree.
Well, now they're just scouts.
Yeah.
Just scout.
Now there's just
I was a Boy Scout.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so you're telling me that like it's not Girl Scouts and it's not Boy Scouts, but now it's just Scouts.
No, no, it's still Girl Scouts, but it's just scouts.
No. And that was because they got sued and they were forced to.
Well, they got sued for a lot of bad stuff that was going
Yeah,
on
but they
too.
were forced to let in girls and transgender individuals as well.
They almost lost it altogether with all the scandals that they had with
here
scout
recently.
leaders and children.
Gotcha, yeah.
It was
And,
pretty
and
rough.
stuff like that makes it difficult for organizations like yourself
Right.
or others that seek to do good for the community
Well,
sometimes.
And so one of the big national trends with the JCI is diversity. diversity council to be accepting of
Like
all.
DEI kind of
Yeah.
diversity, the stuff that
Yeah.
we're trying to. How do you feel about that?
People live their lives, people have their own walks, and just gotta, if you're making positive choices for you, then I think that that's important.
So you think that the work shows for itself, that people shouldn't do things based upon certain qualities or characteristics. It should be show itself.
Yeah, if they're doing positive things for themselves, take them as a person, and that's what's important.
Got it.
Try to leaving the judgment out of it, because people judge me. What people say about me is none of my business.
That's a nice perspective.
It's like Joe Rogan says, he doesn't read the comments.
Oh, don't read the comments.
Oh no, I did that. We had this guy on, his name's Gary Wayne. He's a pretty big author in the Christian community. And I talked to him like I was talking to
He fangirled out.
Sure, but I talked to him like
Hardcore.
he was like I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
like a conversation. And there might have been a little fangirling involved. But it will be the only comments that I ever read. So just hear me on that.
I'll read them to him.
He'll send them.
Haven't been anything negative about me.
So years ago, 2020, the wonderful year we had, there was a hailstorm outside of Miles City, and it was directly above my house. I used to live at the end of Valley Drive, and I was
okay.
driving down Valley Drive, and then I went into my driveway, and it had like just really picked up as I got in my driveway. I'm sitting in my pickup, and my windshield is being broke with like softball size hail. And so I'm on the phone with my dad. My dad is my lifeline. He,
Shout out, Dad.
yeah, shout out dad. And so he's like, what's happening? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're safe in that pickup. And I'm like, it just broke my windshield. And he's like, you're not safe in that pickup. And
Bless
so
you, Dad.
I took my coat and I put it kind of over my head. It wasn't a thick coat. It was just like a windbreaker, and I put it overhead. So then I just bought my husband a puppy. And so the puppy was in the doghouse outside. And so I had to go and get the puppy because I couldn't leave the puppy out there. And so at that point, like, I ducked in the doghouse and sat with the puppy, and I watched my horses get pelted with softball size hail because they didn't want to go in their like shelter because it's tin.
Yeah,
right?
Loud as heck.
And so I tell this crazy story for the fact that, like, of course, Color 8 News and everybody from Billings called me for an interview, and they put it on the they put it on the they put it on the news, right? And so I've always been like, I learned drastically don't read the comments because I read the first comment.
Oh man.
And the first comment was, God was getting back at you.
Oh goodness.
That's awful.
I was like, don't read the comments. Like,
Bunch of crazy people.
right.
It's people like that make it difficult to minister to people who genuinely need it because they say things and presume upon God. And stuff like that.
And they're just stupid.
They are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I believe in spirituality, and that's a very personal thing to me. My journey with God, my spirituality with God is personal to me, right? And so you just kind of have to keep your life positive to make positive choices and to get where you need to go in life. And so that's part of that positive choices is not reading the comments.
Those people that do that are the exact people that Jesus yelled at.
Absolutely, they are. They're the ones that
flip tables.
Right. They're the ones that were the religious zealots that rather yelled out Barabbas, give us a murderer, than for.
Well, and hurt people.
Sure.
Well, that's the thing. And I have heard that statement too in counseling is that, when you don't deal with your problems, I use this wonderful book in counseling called Unraveled Roots by a man named Greg Mayo. It's getting to the root of addiction. And it's a wonderful book. And it's written from a secular perspective, but from his own biblical outlook. And a lot of the times people who genuinely may mean well, oftentimes don't understand why they are broken to begin with. And so they have an inability to be able to really see why somebody may do meth, why
Right.
somebody may sell themselves for food, or may, get an abortion even.
Mhm.
And so they have a hard time being able to sit across because they themselves are not willing to be the sheep that is wandering and astray. And so we are to be lights and beacons, and oftentimes people they make it difficult because they presume they don't understand what, like you said earlier, why they have two different shoes on in the day, or what is going on in their home, or the last time they'd eaten. And I think that true faith, true spiritual walking with the Lord is walking in a way that lives a life of compassion, of grace, of a way that helps people to see that it's okay that you're broken because I'm broken too. And I understand that I can't do it on my own.
Right. Or I shouldn't have to do it on my own.
Yeah.
No, and I
Or
believe
with a crowd of pitchforks behind you.
right, and it shouldn't be through the force of coercion. My greatest goal in life is to just live my life as an example of what he's done for me so that others can go to him. Because we have brothers and people in our lives who we can go to who do help us up and who do help us along the path in life. But when people are constantly judging and ridiculing, it makes it difficult for young people to want to progress, to want to move forward.
Right.
Even me and him have experienced that to some degree because we don't look like your typical minister, I suppose. I
Gotcha.
have too many tattoos.
Right. I hear
Well,
you.
I have sleeves on today, so it's a little less noticeable, but
I'm
not
just a
much.
colorful hippie that people misunderstand. And
Yeah,
so,
he's the hippie,
Yeah.
I'm the criminal.
yeah. And we can speak to people that others can't. And your perspective in life, like I really do think you will go great places, Abigail. Abigail, correct?
Yeah. Abigail, whatever you want to call me.
And
I had a thought. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast with the Jaycees?
So
TikTok live.
I'm telling you, TikTok live.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. Didn't know it's a thing, but
Yeah, after you get so many followers and stuff, then they let you go live.
Normally we do
And
a
then
live.
if you get enough views, then they start chipping back a little money.
Yeah, we've made 25 cents.
there you go.
Moving on up.
There you go. There you go. It's kind of funny.
YouTube, nothing.
Yeah, you know, right? Actually,
They even yelled at me once.
they did.
I can't tell you why, because they'll yell at me
It
again.
had to do with
Had to do with stuff.
people who live in Pennsylvania and things you stick in your body that RFK's against. And so he actually got us against
I thought I was careful too, and
he wasn't.
I guess not. I figured he would get us in trouble, not
So
me.
I am a loudmouth, right? And I do have expressed opinions that I hold firmly and strongly. But what's funny is, on our we both upload it and can do stuff to it on our TikTok. We don't get we get maybe 500 on that.
Yeah.
Unless your cat's in it.
That's what I was about to show her. I have a
put a
15-second
cat in it.
video of a
Dog.
of my
And
cat
people are like,
because he followed me
Yeah.
one day to go to the corner to minister
uh-huh.
because I have a ministry where I preach in Terry every Saturday.
Yeah.
And he sat the entire hour that I was down there just on the corner and followed me all the way back. So this little cat gets more. So just pick up your husband's puppy.
Yeah.
You got some kids, get them in there. People
Right.
love puppies and kids.
And I feel like right there, that is the hope of the world. I know that just seems like such a simple thing,
No, I understand.
right? But like that people are tying to that stuff,
Yeah.
I think is so important because that's what I have a coworker that I've worked with for 10 years, and I'll walk into her office and she'll look at me and she'll be like, okay, and like she'll pull up videos of seals. Have you ever seen
Oh,
seals?
yes. Yes. I have
know?
a Shih Tzu.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Same little face when they're
Yeah,
outside.
right. And they're yeah. And so like to be able to that just kind of shows what makes us tick, like what brings us happiness. This, we have problems that we have to deal with and they need dealt with head on. But then it's also important to still get those warm and fuzzies
Absolutely.
from those animals and for that stuff.
I watch wrestling videos.
Babies.
There's a JC from Minnesota that has a TikTok where she's new to wrestling and that's her only thing on TikTok is she talks about wrestling.
Cool.
That's funny. We're going to the show in Glendive this weekend.
Yes, we are,
Okay,
yeah.
They were here at the fairground in March, end
Yeah.
of March.
Into March, right after
I
my
love
birthday.
I love that our community is bringing in something like that, like an amateur
Right.
wrestling organization. It's really and it's pretty affordable. It's like $12 and
$12.
change.
It's not bad.
Well,
No,
after taxes, yeah, it's like $11
yeah,
a ticket.
it's not bad,
Right.
and it's fun.
Cool.
People breaking chairs and ladders and getting
Yeah.
slammed on concrete, which looks awful
Awful.
painful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, can't fake that.
No.
Gravity.
Gravity, right?
But you should start a podcast.
Yeah, you do
You would
great.
be good at it.
You have a very
And with the reach you have within your
Yeah.
organization, you could probably line guests up for
weeks.
Yeah.
yeah, all you get. I mean, this is a pretty simple setup.
You're looking at maybe 400
Yeah.
$400 in total, maybe $500 in total.
Yeah, somewhere in there, not too bad.
Yeah.
So when I had gotten a hold of her, you put something that you want to possibly tempt, like, what is the community? You put it on the Miles City chatter machine, right? And you get some things back. And so I got
Tomatoes.
tomatoes, some tomatoes.
Rocks.
Stocks.
Stone them.
Yeah. Scene from Monty Python.
Right. So I heard from you and I heard from some other people, but it did start a conversation with me and another business owner. And that other business owner said, I think this would be a good idea for Miles City to where we could start some honest conversations to get some problem solving done here.
Agreed.
And I was like, oh, cool. And I'm like reading through it and I was like, oh, might have chewed off a little bit more. But I got to the end and he said he had a co-host. And so that's good. So right now I'm going to stick to being a like guest on this. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some room in my life when I turn 40.
I was gonna say 4 more years.
4 more
Either
years.
do a podcast or start a militia
Well, she could always go.
or both.
Yeah.
Right?
You can always go. And I know you said, earlier we joked around before we started about radio, but like Terry up at the radio station, he would probably come let you talk about the Jaycees. He's really, really open to
Cool.
that. And that's, probably more targeted towards
Right. Events or
and people who maybe would donate or
Yeah.
give money to something.
right.
And so, but then there's also Rodeo Randy over at the convent. He's got a podcast, so that could be another one.
Yeah.
And then you could, just continue because you're a very confident person, and you don't see that a lot in our age demographic, right? You don't. I think that a real divide amongst millennials is that you either see very compulsive, very like moldable, go along to get alongs, and very few millennials who have been willing to even engage in politics. Look at how few millennials are in politics at the federal level,
Right.
right? You don't have a lot of people who in our generation are willing to stand for the things that matter, and that is the next generation in reality, right? Like,
Yeah.
because every good leader is looking out for those who are coming after them.
Yeah.
Successor.
Right? Successors,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And so I think, Abby, that you're doing great in our community, and anytime my organization can work with you, I would love to be able to and to get you involved.
Yeah, and if you have events going on, we can
Shout
we can
them
help
out.
plug it.
Yeah.
Cool.
We don't have a huge reach, but hey, we have a reach.
Right. There you go.
You should put if it's not already, through the Chamber of Commerce on the community calendar, your meetings monthly, if it's not already there.
Okay. Yeah, possibly. The lovely lady Terry that's retired from the chamber, is she was always very helpful, and then she passed that down to Bailey.
Bailey's
And
nice.
so yes, so we work with them quite a bit.
Yeah, this
with
is right
that.
across the street this way.
Right. Yeah.
From me, anyway.
Right. And so I guess another shout out would be to get a hold of your local chamber if you're interested in having anything float, car, any tractor, horse, anything like that in the Bucking Horse Sale Parade. it's $20 a car, and then $10 an extra vehicle, or $20 a float, or $10
Which is
an
so
extra
cheap,
vehicle.
guys.
It is.
So cheap.
Uh,
They could up those numbers by triple and still be cheap.
And they let crazy people like us
I
in the
know.
parade.
We
I
see
had
a
a
billboard.
I had a big billboard one year. I'm sure you
Yeah.
remember it from a couple years ago with
Yeah.
my preacher buddy on there.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
Fun.
fun.
Right. Our theme this year is Buck Wild.
Nice.
And
Oh, you're gonna
oh,
love my radio ad.
nice. And so, yeah, that's so we're just kind of trying to inspire creativity, right? We want to see creativity for it, make it fun for everybody. With that, there's cash prizes for the categories in it, and so it'll be a great thing for that Saturday morning of bucking horse to kind of to get that on. And then after that is the quick draw that's important to get over. The Waterworks Museum is a very great thing that we have going in this community, and they're run purely off of donations.
Never attended, to be honest. I should go.
Yeah, I would
Been there
encourage
when I
you
was
to
a
go.
kid.
Yeah, I would encourage you to go. It's grant funding, it's donations. They do the quick draw in the park, which we had talked about. Like that's the weekend that the farmers market starts, right?
Yep.
And so it's the farmers market before the parade, and then the quick draw, which is it's a fundraiser in the fact that they get artists to come in and they bring thing, not a thing. I say a thing, it might be a person, to quick draw, right?
Right.
And then they auction off those things that were drawn there for charities for the organization. So that's a
That's
very
pretty cool.
important thing after that. And then they usually have some kind of food that's down there in the park that day and everything before everybody heads to the sale.
A good motto to have, whether you're a Christian or not, is feed them to feed them.
True.
You gotta.
Hangry is a thing, man.
It is. If you don't give, I mean, you can change the world by offering somebody nachos and a Gatorade. I'm telling you right now, like,
Yeah.
you can easily build bridges and have conversations.
Do you know how many floats are signed up?
No, actually, that's the second day in a row I've been asked that question. I should probably
Follow back up with
right.
you.
I bet Bailey does. I bet Bailey at the chamber
I bet
does.
she does. Yeah, she has a list of it on there. I saw the advertisement to sign up.
Yeah.
What time for people to show up for floats, and what time does the parade start?
We when you register for the parade, you're going to get a packet, and it's going to have a map of where to line up according to if you're a float, car, motorcycle, horse, whatever. So lineup is at 8:30, and we start the parade at 9:30. I would suggest that if you want to be at the beginning of the parade, that you get there early, earlier, because the numbers don't matter. It's just how the judges classify who you are, right? And so if you're in the front of the line, we're going to send you in the beginning, and kind of weed you in. So I went to Red Lodge, to their parade. I'm actually usually in the Red Lodge parade, so I don't get to see it, but because I'm also with the Drum and Bugle Corps out of Sheridan, Wyoming.
Oh, cool.
I've been with them since 2013.
You were made for the military.
Yeah, true. Oh, yeah. Warrior at
You'd have
heart.
been that person in the morning.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. No, so I'm a maiden dancer with them. So so they put all of their horses in they weren't able to get to the Red Lodge parade, so I got to watch it this year. They put all of their horses in the very beginning of the parade. And I was like, why can't we do that in Miles City? I don't understand. But the reason why they do it in the Red Lodge parade is they need to get to the rodeo. So
Those
essentially
horses aren't in the rodeo.
they're just going down the street early.
A lot of those.
Right.
Yeah.
So we kind of we put them in. The biggest rule is don't put a loud thing behind a horse.
That makes
right?
sense.
And
That's
then
wisdom.
also try to keep the walking people away from the horses so they don't have to, so they don't really get their feet or
So
whatever.
the loud guy behind the horse doesn't spook the horse to run over the walking people.
Or kick
Yeah.
the kid in the face.
Yeah. So there's technicalities to this run and traffic
Sure.
thing, right? So, but you also want to do like a dynamic parade that's like different things are coming
Right,
down the
right.
street. You're just not like, here's the horses,
Here's
here's
the
the
tractor with the
floats, here's the
smoke.
tractor.
Plug
I do
your
love
ears.
those. I do love those.
Yeah, they're always at the end. Everybody knows that because they'll scare everybody else if they're not at the end.
Well, but I like them because those are the things that cut this land, those
Yeah.
are the things that
Yeah.
create these
Some of
stories.
those tractors
History.
have been in that parade since I was a little kid.
Oh, I believe it. And I mean, those,
Crazy. Like the big eagle that sits on the
Yeah.
planet
Yeah.
since I was like 5,
Well, it's funny.
probably longer.
I remember my first year running it. I was on the back line where they're at, and I went to say something to him, and he's like, "Don't worry, we got this."
he doesn't need you.
He doesn't need
You were
me.
just there as
I'm like,
He's
okay,
a pro.
could have the cones as long as you needed.
yeah. So another thing, yeah. So definitely register for the parade. We're excited to see people come out. And then also like through Bucking Horse, understand that the people that are putting Bucking Horse Sale on are mostly volunteers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's very important to be respectful and work with those people. They're volunteers. And so you want to, they put their heart into this to make sure that this can go on, right? I've been going to Bucking Horse Sale since I was 17 years old, and now I'm 36, and it looks very different because I was a goer then, and now I help to put it on. And we can't have this unless we can't continue to have these events unless we have people that are willing to give up their time. And so, it's just important that people are nice to them.
Stop climbing the light post.
Yes. No.
Or not. I mean, we haven't.
At least give them a t-shirt.
Right?
Actually, in the old days, you used to get
Yes.
a t-shirt if you went to jail, and they stopped doing it because people were going to jail to get the t-shirt.
I mean, that is like the
That's
ultimate.
$1,000 t-shirt, just about.
It's an
like,
achievement unlocked.
If you're urinating in public during Bucking Horse, it's like $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth the t-shirt. Just go
Right.
to one of the t-shirt places in town.
Don't have
Yeah.
that kind of dedication. Well, Abigail, is there anything else that you would like to say on the podcast?
Thank you guys for allowing me to
Absolutely.
be on it, and thank you for your encouraging words.
Yes, I really
Podcast.
would. As a veteran, I worked on helicopters. Yeah, and I'm seventh generation military. Grew up around all military people. I truly do mean it. You really would have been an excellent troop in a way that is commendable. And
Yeah.
you have a servant's heart. You can see that. You have a desire to serve.
Right.
And so we do something at the end of every podcast, and this is we give the gospel because our mission is to present the gospel in a way that is different and reflective
One second.
to an
Where
audience. Go
can
ahead.
people
Yeah,
find you
good job.
guys to check you out online? And
Oh, so sorry, Miles City Jaycees Facebook. Yeah, Miles City Jaycees on Facebook is the best way to find us to kind of get to know us. We are on Instagram now, and so you can put Miles City Jaycees into Instagram.
And
we-
TikTok.
Well, yeah, I'm on
Soon.
TikTok. I don't know my username,
what
but
about nationally?
nationally, so JCI USA is our national organization. They have a Facebook. They also have a website, JCI USA, and then Montana JCs has a Facebook and a website also.
Can people donate through those links?
No, we don't have donation things, but definitely, if you contact Facebook Messenger, all of them are, ran by volunteers that are in our organization, and we can we definitely will talk to anybody who wants to talk to us and get things handled that
And if
way.
people have interest in joining or coming to a meeting, how do they contact? Just through Facebook?
Yeah, you can contact through our Facebook, Instagram. Miles City currently doesn't have a website right now. We're in rebuild. And even if you see one of our members kind of around, we're gonna try to get out to do more of those things to where you
I'll be
kind of see
hosting
us.
one next year. We're starting to do things at the college.
Okay,
So,
which is yeah,
maybe you can partner with us down the road,
cool.
even if it's just us, presenting literature and stuff before the students.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, we've got some people in the community, myself, Abigail Snyder, Megan McKeegan, Andrew Arus Snyder, Christy Colonin, kind of just Katie Pickering's a very devoted member.
I thought you
Um,
were gonna say Katy Perry for a minute. I'm
that'd
like,
be
no
cool.
kidding.
Uh, right. Um, Carly Blanchard, definitely different. And there's a lot of other ones. Cody Harris. As I hit 16, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have started with this. Somebody's gonna get mad I didn't shout them out. But yeah, kind of going through that. And I mean, if you see one of us, you'll see all of us will be in green vests with Miles City Jaycees on the back, running the parade. You can grab any of us. We'll take a name down in contact. Just because we want to help get more members and get more people involved because there's a good thing happening.
yeah.
And if anything, if you see them wearing the vest, just go and thank them for what they do.
Yeah.
It sounds like a wonderful organization to be a part of. So I encourage you, whether you're national or international, we have some people watch internationally, look in to see if you can be a part in your area as well. It's always good to help try and build, encourage, and edify your community.
All right, take it away, Maestro.
Yeah. So with that, we'll give you this. Um, Today is the day that the Lord's made for you, and if you do not know him, know this, that Jesus Christ came and he lived a life of sinless nature, fulfilling the law and the prophets, and being born unto a virgin. He lived for roughly 30 years before he began his ministry, and then he went before Pontius Pilate, and he was condemned a guilty man as an innocent man in exchange for a murderer and a rebel. And so they hung him between two men, where there he died for you and I while we were still wandering lost in sin. And upon his death, he was buried in a borrowed tomb, where there he laid for 3 days. And then upon the third day, he rose again, first declaring the gospel to Mary Magdalene, then into the many. So this day you're without excuse. You've heard the truth of the gospel, that Jesus Christ is the only way. So choose this day whom you will serve.
All right, and we are out.